Okay, page 5. We're still running. Whoop, 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 whoop. Summer of 1914, thousands of military officers, our leading Polish nationals, were disappearing from the western Poland. Fears rose among the resistance that the same man incarceration that had occurred in the east with the Soviets was now on the menu in the west. Pilecki and his crew suspected that Auschwitz, a prison the size of a small town, was likely involved in the disappearances, and that it might already house thousands of former Polish soldiers. Was when Pilecki volunteered to sneak into Auschwitz. Initially, it was a rescue mission. He would allow himself to get arrested, and once there, he would organize with other Polish soldiers, coordinate a mutiny, and break. Where's the organize a mutiny? I've lost where I was. He would allow himself to get arrested, and once there, he would organise with the other Polish soldiers, coordinate a mutiny, and break out of the prison camp. It was a mission so suicidal that he might as well have asked his commander permission to drink a bucket of bleach. Ooh. His superiors thought he was crazy and told him as much. You're crazy. But as the weeks went by, the problem only grew worse. Thousands of elite Poles were disappearing, and Auschwitz was still a huge blind spot in the Allied intelligence network. The Allies had no idea what was going on. No idea. And little chance of finding out what's going on. Eventually, Pilecki's commanders relented. One evening at a routine checkpoint in Warsaw, Pilecki, don't know how to pronounce that, commanders relented. One evening, as a routine checkpoint in Warsaw, Pilecki let himself be arrested by the SS for violating curfew, and soon he was on his way to Auschwitz, the only man known ever to have voluntarily entered a Nazi concentration camp. Once he got there, he saw that the reality of the Auschwitz was far worse than anyone had suspected. Prisoners were routinely being shot. In roll call lineups for transgressions as minor as fidgeting or not standing up straight. That's bad things. The manual labour was grueling and endless. Men were literally worked to death, often performing tasks that they were useless or meant nothing. The first month Pilecki was there. A full third of the men in his barracks died of exhaustion or pneumonia, or were shot. Regardless, by the end of 1940, Pilecki, the comic book superhero motherfucker, had still somehow set up an espionage operation. Oh, Pilecki, you titan, you champion, flying above the abyss. How did you manage to create an intelligence network by embedding messages in laundry baskets? How did you build your own transistor radio out of spare parts and stolen batteries, MacGyver style? Or, yeah, I've seen MacGyver. He just makes, well, it's American show. Well, I haven't seen him for like 30 years or whatever. And then successfully transmit plans for an attack on the prison camp to the secret Polish army in Warsaw. How did you create smuggling rings to bring in food, medicine and clothing for prisoners, saving countless lives and delivering hope to the remotest desert of the human heart? What did this world do to deserve you? Over the course of 2 years, Pilecki built an entire resistance unit within Auschwitz. There was a chain of command with ranks and officers, a logistics network, the lines of communication to the outside world, and all this went undiscovered by the SS guards. SS guards, is that Germany or Russian? I'm not quite sure. I think it's Germany. Hitler was Germany. Not sure. Guards for almost 2 years. Pilecki's ultimate aim was to foment a large-scale revolt within the camp, with help and coordination from the outside. He believed he could stoke a prison break. Overrun the unmanned SS guards and release tens of thousands of highly trained Polish guerrilla fighters into the wild. He sent his plans and reports to Warsaw. For months he waited, for months he survived. But then came the Jews, first in buses, then packed in train cars. Soon they were arriving by the tens of thousands. An undulating current of people floating in an ocean of death and despair, stripped of all family possessions and dignity. They filled mechanically into the newly renovated showers barracks, where they were gassed and their bodies burned. Pilecki's report to the outside became frantic. They murdering tens of thousands of people, that's here each day, mostly Jews. The death toll could potentially be in the millions. He pleaded with the secret Polish army to liberate the camp at once. He said if he can't liberate the camp, then at least bomb it, for God's sake. At least destroy the gas chambers, at least. Ah, no, it's Germany. Okay. Yeah. SS Guard is Germany. Okay. The secret Polish army received his messages, but figured he was exaggerating. In the farthest reaches of their minds, nothing could be that fucked. Nothing. Palicki was the first person ever to alert the world to the Holocaust. His intelligence was forwarded through the various resistant groups around Poland, then on to the Polish government in exile in the United Kingdom, who then passed his reports to the Allied Command in London. The information eventually even made its way to Einstein, Eisenhower, and Churchill. Ooh. Those who figured Palicki had to be exaggerating. In 1943, Palicki realised that his plans of a mutiny and prison breaks were never going to happen. The secret Polish army wasn't coming. The Americans and British weren't coming. And in all likelihood, it was the Soviets who were coming. And they would be worse. Palicki decided that remaining inside the camp was too risky. It was time to escape. He made it look easy, of course. First, he faked illness and got himself admitted to the camp's hospital. From there, he lied to the doctors about what work group he was supposed to return to, saying he had the night shift at the bakery, which was on the edge of camp near the river. When the doctors discharged him, he headed towards the bakery, where he proceeded to work until 2 a.m. When the last batch of bread finished baking, from there it was just a matter of cutting the telephone wire, silently prying open the back door, changing into stolen civilian clothes, without the SS guards noticing, sprinting to the river, a mile away, while being shot at. Ooh. So the SS guards did notice you. That's why they're shooting at you. Yeah. And then navigating his way back to civilization via the stars. Today, much in our world appears to be fucked. Not Nazi Holocaust level fucked, not even close, but still pretty fucked nonetheless. Stories such as Palicki's inspire us. They give us hope. They make us say, well, damn. Things were way worse when, and that guy transcended it all. What have I done lately? Which, in this couch potato pundit era of tweet storms and outrage porn, is probably what we should be asking ourselves. I've never heard about outrage porn before. When we zoom out and get perspective, we realise that while heroes like Palicki save the worst, we swat at gnats and complain that the AC isn't high enough. Air conditioning, don't have that. I've got the weather, which is fucking freezing. Palicki's story is single most heroic thing I have ever come across in my life. Because heroism isn't just bravery or guts or shrewd manoeuvring. These things are common and are often used in unheroic ways. Not being heroic is the ability to conjure hope where there is none, to strike a match to light up the void, to show us a possibility for a better world, not for a better world, not about a better world we want to exist, but a better world we didn't know could exist. To take a situation where everything seems to be absolutely fucked and still somehow make it good. Bravery is common, resilience is common, but heroism has a philosophical component to it. There's some great why that heroes bring to the table some incredible cause or belief that goes unshaken, no matter what. And this is why, as a culture, we are so desperate for a hero today. Not because things are necessarily so bad, but because we have lost the clear why that drove previous generations. We are a culture in need not of peace or prosperity or new hood ornaments. Hood ornaments, never heard that before. For our electric cars. We have all that. We have a culture in need of something far more precarious. We have a culture and people in new need of hope. After witnessing years of war, torture, death and genocide, Palicki never lost hope despite losing his country, his family, his friends, and nearly his own life. He never lost hope. Even after the war, while enduring Soviet domination, he never lost the hope of a free and independent Poland. He never lost the hope of a quiet and happy life for his children. He never lost the hope of being able to save a few more lives, of helping a few more people. After the war, Palicki returned to Warsaw and continued spying, this time on the Communist Party, which had just come to power. There, again, he would be the first person to notify the West of an ongoing evil, in this case, that the Soviets had infiltrated the Polish. It's always Germans and Russians, isn't it? Always Germans and Russians. Government and rigged the elections. He would also be the first to document the Soviet atrocities committed in the East during the war. This time, though, he was discovered. He was warned that he was about to be arrested, and he had a chance to flee Italy. Yet Pilchetti declined. He would rather stay and die Polish than run the lives of Polish that run and live at something he didn't recognize. A free and independent Poland. By then, was his only source of hope. Without it, he was nothing, and thus his hope would also be his undoing. The communists captured Pilecki in 1947, and they didn't go easy on him. He was tortured for almost a year, so harshly and consistently that he told his wife that Auschwitz was just a trifle by comparison. Still, he had never cooperated with his interrogators, especially realizing that they could get no information from him. And communists decided to make an example of him in 1948. They held a show trial and charged Pilecki with everything from falsifying documents and violating curfews to engaging in espionage and treason. A month later, he was found guilty and sentenced to death. On the final day of the trial, Pilecki was allowed to speak. He stated that his allegiance had always been to Poland and its people, that he had never harmed or betrayed any Polish citizen, and that he regretted nothing. He concluded his statement with, "I have tried to live my life such that in hours of my death I would feel joy rather than fear." And it's not the most hardcore thing you've ever heard. Then I want some of what you're having. How may I help you? If I worked at Starbucks instead of writing Instead of writing people's names on the coffee cup, I'd write the following. One day, you and everyone you love and will die, and beyond a small group of people, for an extremely brief period of time, little of what you say or do will ever matter. This is the uncomfortable truth of life, and everything you think or do is but on the elaborate avoidance of it. We are inconsequential cosmic dust, bumping and milling about on a tiny blue speck. We imagine our lives. We imagine our importance. We went into purpose. We are nothing. Enjoy your fucking coffee. I'd have to write this in really tiny letters, of course. And it'll take a while to write. Meaning the line of morning rush for our customers would be backed up to the door. Not exactly stellar customer services. This is probably just one of the reasons why I'm not employable. But seriously, how could you tell someone in good conscience to have a nice day, while knowing that all their thoughts and motivations stem from a never-ending need to avoid the inherent meaninglessness of human existence? Because in infinite expanse of space-time, the universe does not care whether you're or your boss thinks that you made a bitchin' spreadsheet. It doesn't care if the Democrats or Republicans win the presidential elections. It doesn't care if a celebrity gets caught doing cocaine whilst furiously masturbating in an airport bathroom again. It doesn't care if the forests burn, or the ice melts, or water rise, or simmers, or we all get vaporized by sun. You care. You care, and you'll desperately convince yourself that because you care, it all must have some great cosmic meaning behind it. Get a bit tired now. You care because deep down you need to feel that sense of importance in order to avoid the uncomfortable truth, to avoid the incomprehensibility of your existence, to avoid being crushed by the weight of your own material significance. And you, like me, like everyone, then project the image sense of importance onto the world around. Is it too early to have this conversation? Here, have another coffee. We made a winky, smiley face with the steamed milk. Isn't it cute? I'll wait while you Instagram it. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, the incomprehensible of your existence. Right now, you might be thinking, well, Mark, I believe we're all here for a reason, and nothing is coincidence, and everyone matters, because all our actions affect somebody, and even if we can help one person, then it's still worth it, right? Now, aren't you just as cute as a button? See, that's your hope talking. There's a story your mind spins to make it worth waking up in the morning. Something needs to matter, because without something mattering, then there's no reason to go on living. And some form of simple altruism or a reduction in suffering is always my mind's go-to for making it feel like it's worth doing anything. Our psyche needs hope to survive the way a fish needs water. Hope is the fuel of our mental engine. It's the button on our biscuits. There are a lot of really cheesy metaphors. About hope, your mental apparatus will store out or stop. We don't believe there's any hope that the future will be better than the present. Then our lives will improve in some ways when we spiritually die. After all, if there's no hope or things ever being better, then why live? Why do anything? Hope it like that. I've read enough. Half hour I was talking.